Hello, Joe. Welcome back to our Pop in Your Earpods podcast. It's really good to be chatting with you again this afternoon.
I'm very excited to be here, Anne. Thanks for having me.
Oh, my pleasure. My pleasure. We've always got so much to talk about. Nutrition is a big part of what it's all of what you do, but actually general well-being. And I think with general well-being, nutrition is a big part of all of that. So it's always so interesting to chat with you. There's always so much we can learn. And I know various people that I talk to are always asking questions. So what I'd like to talk about today, if we may, is nutrition for aging well. Let's put it that way. That's aging well is a phrase that Neil's Yard use a lot. They don't talk about getting old, they talk about aging well. And that's what we'd like to do, wouldn't we? We'd like to age more healthily,
Yes.
fitter, stronger. And, we're all getting older. Statistics say we're getting older, we are living longer, so we'd like to do it as healthily as we possibly can to make the most of that time. So I would love to hear from you about what kind of foodstuffs we should be eating. No, let's take the should out. Should is a bad I'd love to hear from you what foodstuffs we could incorporate, we could be bringing in to help us live and age well.
Yeah, no, it's a great topic, and it's being discussed a lot at the moment on social media and in the media generally. And of course, we are all living longer, but we're not all living healthier.
No.
So the statistics in the UK are pretty appalling for the number of years that most people spend with a chronic health condition before they die. I think it's something like 15 years. So, and you hear people say a lot, oh gosh, I'm really not looking forward to getting old. And I would say, well, why not? Why not? Why if people say, oh, I don't want to live beyond 80, let's say. And I say, but if at the minute, at the age you are and how you feel today, I suddenly told you were 80, would you want to be gone tomorrow? And they go, no. And I'm saying, well, there we go. There are lots of things that we can do to slow down the rate of aging and even reverse aging, and that's scientifically proven. So my favorite subject, Anne, and let's talk about it. Let's dive in.
That's great, because actually it's interesting you talk about people having a chronic health condition for 15 years or more. Because there's a few health conditions or health issues that I've jotted down, because I know these are issues that my clients are talking to me about at the moment. And we're all women of a certain age. We're kind of perimenopausal, menopausal and postmenopausal women. And these health issues are coming up. So it'd be really interesting if we could learn about foods that will help ease them. And to reverse them would be amazing. So the kind of things I'm thinking about, just so people know what I'm talking about here, I'm talking about poor sleep. People find that they don't sleep as well. Now, I know that it is a fact that as we get older, we don't need as much sleep. But actually what we do want is the good quality sleep. People suffer a lot more with inflammation or inflammatory conditions, arthritis being one of them. Osteoporosis is another thing, and that is age related, but I also know it can be related to treatments that people have had. Many of my patients have been through treatments that cause problems with the bones that lead to osteoporosis. And also things like sarcopenia and weight loss. So sarcopenia being the loss of muscle mass, losing our strength as we get older. I understand there are food things that we can use. We can use our diet to help with all of this. So I'd love to explore some of these kind of areas, but I'm sure we can talk for hours. Have we got a few?
I'm going to try and be really succinct, but I tell you what,
got a few that we think we can highlight.
Let's start with what's going to give you the biggest bang for your buck.
Okay, that sounds great.
I've made a list of those ailments that you've talked about, and for every single one, protein is going to be a real game changer. So protein is one of our...
Sorry, Jo, protein isn't just for our bodybuilders.
No, protein, it's one of what we call our macronutrients. So we've got three macronutrients. We've got fats and carbohydrates, and then we've got protein. And
Okay.
it's really easy to incorporate carbohydrate and fats into our diet. We're eating those all the time. Protein can be a little bit more tricky, but it is really the game changer in terms of these types of conditions, and so important as we get older, because we don't absorb as much protein as we did when we were younger. So actually, we should be eating more protein than even the government recommended guidelines. Then now the science that's coming through is saying, well, actually, as older women, we need to be eating more protein than the government guidelines.
Well, just to recap on that, we actually don't, the human body as it gets older absorbs less protein.
Yes.
Okay, that's interesting. So how much roughly should we be eating?
So we recommend around 30 grams of protein per meal. And we don't store protein, so we need to be eating it 3 times a day. We need to spread it out throughout the day, because the protein, if you imagine like making a little Lego truck or something, and that's your bit of protein. When you eat the Lego truck, it dismantles into all the little Lego pieces. It's not a truck anymore, but it's all the Lego pieces in your body. And then the body reassembles it as something else inside your body.
But it uses,
and these are the amino acids that it uses for so many bodily functions. But the one that we talk about a lot, obviously, is muscle maintenance and muscle mass and building muscle. And this is so important as we get older, because we are finding that many people are suffering from something called sarcopenia, which is when we start to lose the muscle mass. And if you lose your muscle mass, then a fall can be disastrous for you, because you're going to end up getting fractures and things like that.
Or not being able to get up and call for help yourself.
Yes, we really don't want to be in that situation. So there's two things here, really. The protein is really important, but alongside weight training, and even we think that maybe as we get into our 60s, 70s, 80s, that doesn't apply to us. It does. It absolutely does. This is what the science is showing, that we should be weight training right up until the very end, building that muscle, maintaining that muscle, so that we can live independently. It's as simple as that.
Yes. So the old thinking of sitting in an armchair, taking it easy as we get older, has gone.
Yes, it certainly has. Sadly, it has.
Well, you can do some of that, but we do need to keep active as well.
Yes,
and with weights particularly. Sure.
Okay.
So back to the protein. How do we get our 30 grams of protein 3 times a day?
Yeah, so it can be tricky, and there are apps where you can weigh your food and find out how much protein is in it, which can be a bit cumbersome, but it's a good thing to do, because it teaches you. You will find that if you eat meat and fish, that's a really fast track way to get protein into your diet, because they're very protein dense. But if you're vegetarian, there are lots of foods that you can incorporate in your diet to help you get to that protein target, but you just have to think about it a little bit more carefully. So we've just recently, there's lots of things like tofu, natto, tempeh, all these soy-based foods, which are very high in protein. Take a little bit of juggling around, get some recipes, and find some ways that you like to cook it. It's just a different type of food. I always recommend that you get the organic tofu, because the non-organic one is genetically modified, and it's just a better food. So so we can use those. We can use all our pulses and beans, chickpeas, things like edamame, beans. Greek yogurt is a good one at breakfast time. Quite high in protein. Now, which is really exciting, I've been using an app for a while, and we'll put the notes about this after the show, but I've got an app that you can actually just take a photograph of your plate of food, and it will scan it and immediately tell you what the protein level is on your
No,
plate.
really?
Yeah. So that's an
That's a
amazing.
game changer, actually.
Yeah, it is a real game changer. So
It
after
really
a
is.
couple of weeks, you'll get a really good idea of
Yeah, what?
how much protein
Yes.
you're eating. But
That's
30 grams, most people will be quite surprised, and they'll be
yeah.
going, gosh, I'm finding it really difficult to get 30 grams into
Mm.
my meal each 3 times a day. It's just about changing things around. So you might lean in perhaps more to the protein side of things and ease up perhaps on the complex carbohydrates like your rice and pastas and things like that.
Yes.
Just
Go
because
more heavily on the meat, fish,
yes.
vegetables, things like
Yeah,
that.
and the vegetable, we're going to come on and talk about fiber in a minute, which is
Yes, we
equally
are.
as important. But
I was just thinking though, Jo, just thinking about a portion size, for example, salmon. So I know a lot of people will reach for salmon or mackerel or something or chicken, because they know it's a good source of protein.
Yep.
How much salmon would you have to have on your plate for a meal?
Yes, well, a good fillet of salmon will take you, well over your target, I
Okay, that'd be
imagine.
a
And
good,
also the little cans of fish, like canned mackerel and canned sardines
yes,
and things like that, they're really useful because they've got the protein amount on the side of the can.
of
So
course,
you
yes.
can see if you eat the whole can or if you eat half a can, you'll know exactly how much protein you're taking as well. But a fillet of chicken, that will be a good between 20 and 30 grams of protein in one sitting.
And then add some vegetables and some seeds and things like that, and away you go.
Yeah, absolutely.
And a Greek yogurt dressing. I was recently introduced to making like a dip with Greek yogurt and mixing in harissa paste, and it made the most amazing dip.
Yes,
never even knew that it was good.
There's a really lovely cookbook called Healthy High Protein by Dr. Rupi. And that is a great cookbook because he gives you some amazing recipes, and then he tells you per portion how much protein would be in your portion of food.
Brilliant.
So that's
Maybe we can put a link to that as well.
That's a really good one. So don't forget your nuts and seeds. So especially things like almonds, peanuts, chia seeds, hemp seeds are all good sources. All your nuts,
pumpkin seeds, that kind of thing.
Pumpkin seeds, edamame beans we talked about, and grains like quinoa are high in protein.
Yes, I heard that was a big one. Yes, and they make really great salads and things, don't they?
They do.
Quinoa you can use as a great thing for salads, as an alternative to things like couscous, which is a carbohydrate.
Yes. So that's lovely, as we talked about earlier, roasted vegetable, quinoa, and make it in advance, keep it in the fridge. You can warm it up or have it cold, and it's there. And I think that's the secret as well with eating. Sorry.
Make a big batch of it, and it'll last you for days or a few days. Yeah. Definitely.
Yes. Okay, so that's
on my plan. It's on my list for tonight. I've got a butternut squash, and I'm going to make that. I'm actually going to make that up tonight.
Sounds amazing. I'll be around about 7.
Perfect.
So the other thing about protein is that if we do not have an adequate protein intake, we cannot make enough of some of the neurotransmitters that are so important to our well-being. So we've got a neurotransmitter called serotonin, which you might have heard of before, which we also call our happy hormone.
Yes, I talk about
some people call it our confidence brain chemical. Gives you that confidence, that sort of settled, happy feeling. So if you haven't got enough protein, you won't be able to make enough serotonin. So especially at this time of year, when some people can get in, suffer from a bit of a low mood because of the lack of sunlight, dark nights, we need to make sure that we're eating that protein to keep our levels of serotonin up.
And of course,
the other one that we Sorry.
I was going to say, alongside perimenopause and menopause, where we get low moods and anxiety attached to that,
really good point.
Caused, by the change of our hormones. Actually, if we can boost the serotonin in our body, then it's just going to help to balance that out and just, not eliminate it completely necessarily, but it will certainly help to improve it.
Well, you'll find actually that some people that I work with who are suffering from anxiety and or depression, once they start getting proper levels of protein into their diet, find that symptoms that they've had sometimes for decades dissipate quite quickly, because they are starting to make more of these neurotransmitters. And also, you hit the nail on the head with the anxiety. So another neurotransmitter that we make is called GABA, and GABA is our calming hormone.
Right,
we have oodles of it when we're pregnant. That's what keeps us calm in pregnancy, but we tend to lose it as we go through perimenopause and menopause. And so many women suffer from low level anxiety, and they don't understand why. And it could be that we're not making enough GABA. So that's another one. And and also melatonin is another one, which of course helps our sleep. So if anyone is struggling with sleep issues, just try it. Up your protein, give it a couple of weeks and see whether it helps you sleep through the night.
I also use the so melatonin and serotonin are produced in the pineal gland, or pineal gland, some people call it. And the point for that in reflexology, obviously I'm not going to get my toes out, but on the thumb it's just about here. So I will often say to people, you know, if you're struggling with your mood, we're not able to sleep, just gently sit and kind of rotate your finger on this area.
Yes, I have heard that before, actually. That's so interesting.
It's a really effective one.
Yes.
The toe, I think the toe is more effective, but you know, that's not always practical. So for ourselves, doing it ourselves, this is good. And then obviously increasing the protein, you might not even need to do this. So, wonderful. Lovely.
And I always say we're all our own experiment, and you know, make a note of your symptoms and make these changes, or do these physical things, as in you know, massaging the thumb, and just notice, does it help me? And happy days if it does.
Yes. And if it doesn't, then you're not actually doing yourself any harm by trying any of this, are you?
Exactly. But the protein obviously is really important for this muscle building. So as we go into our later years, this now is the big thing about maintaining muscle, as I said, so that you can maintain your independence into later life.
Quality of life. So before we spend the whole of our chat talking about protein, which I know we could easily do, what other foodstuffs, food groups do you think we ought to be including to keep us well as we get older, Jo?
Yeah, so of course the second biggest bang for your buck, which is really on a par with protein, is fiber.
Yes.
So
our old friend
fiber. Now, none of us really are eating enough fiber. As we were evolving, we ate around 150 grams of fiber a day, because a lot of our foods were very fibrous. We would be eating sort of tubers, and you know, carrots were very fibrous and chewy originally. I mean, I am going back hundreds of thousands of years here, but obviously what the human has done has developed these foodstuffs to become sweeter and more easy to eat and digest, and we've lost a lot of the fiber. So again, the foodstuffs sort of cross over quite well in terms of, you know, what so obviously you're not going to get protein in things like chicken, meat and fish, but all those other vegetables that we talk about that are high in protein, like your legumes, your beans, your chickpeas, your pulses, they are high in fiber, and we really need these for three main reasons, actually. So we've got digestion. So fiber will help move food through your gut and give you a really satisfying evacuation. That's how I'm going to describe it.
That's not a topic I thought we would be discussing here, Jo, but go ahead.
So for many people who suffer from constipation, this is a real needle mover in terms of getting the bowels moving and flowing nicely. And I look really for people to have to pass a stool once a day, because they are then excreting toxins regularly out of the body.
Yes, when we've spoken about this before, you and I, you've explained that fiber actually, as well as sucking moisture and liquid through the wall of the gut or through the wall of the intestines, it also sucks toxins through the wall of the intestines. And that bit I didn't know. I knew about the moisture, the liquid. I didn't know about the toxins, and that's a brilliant bit of advice, because that will also, you know, keep us feeling lethargic and anxious and low mood and all of those things.
Yes, so exactly right. So that's
The
the
more we
first
can get rid of.
big benefit of fiber. The
Yes.
second is that fiber is a prebiotic, and what that means is that it feeds our gut microbes. So we know now that we've got this sort of second brain in our gut, which are these trillions of microbes that are really shaping our health, and they are very important in sending messages up to the brain and for making some vitamins for us and for making these hormones that we talked about earlier. So if you don't feed your good gut bacteria, you can get a proliferation of bad bacteria that perhaps feed off other things, i.e. sugar,
Yeah.
or high fat products or whatever it might be.
Mm.
So as we were evolving again, our bacteria really developed in our gut to digest fiber for us. We as human beings can't digest fiber on our own. We've outsourced it to our gut microbes. So it's really important that we feed them what they want to eat, because they then can give us loads of health benefits that keep us optimally well. So fiber does that for you. I think the average person in the UK and the US is now eating around 15 grams of fiber a day, which is a tenth of what we used to eat. But they are recommending if we can get to 30 grams of fiber a day, we're probably doing quite well. So
30
really
is what we're
important as well
aiming
to
for.
try and think about the diversity of the fiber. So to eat lots of different types of fiber, different colors. So I always try and think things like 3-bean chilies are great because you're throwing 3 different kinds of beans, and they all contain different polyphenols, these plant compounds that go down, and there's trillions of these microbes that need feeding, and they're all looking for something a little bit different. So we need to keep variety and diversity.
Yes.
Up
We
there.
need to keep these microbes happy because they're the ones that will boost our immune system. So they keep our immune system fit and well. And of course, I mean, at this time of year, but all times of year, we need to keep our immune system good. And I know the polyphenols help towards a healthy immune system, but actually keeping the gut microbiome, I actually got that the right way around. I did say it the wrong way around the other day, and it came out as something really bizarre that I'm not even going to try and repeat. But to keep that healthy keeps the body healthy and keeps us able to fight viruses and infections, which is another thing we want to do more of as we get older, because we become frailer and more susceptible to some of these infections.
So keeping what we call the integrity of the gut wall is really important, and we do that through eating fiber. 70% of our immune system is based in the gut. So if the integrity of the gut wall is there, then your immune system will be so much better, and obviously keep you from getting all the nasties that are starting to go around at the minute. So the third thing is
could I just add one thing, Jo? Sorry, before we talk about before we go away from fiber, to make sure that the gut can, through all its kind of twists and turns of the intestine, to make sure that it can pass this fiber easily, the one thing, of course, we need to drink plenty of is water.
We do, yes.
Because without it all gets stuck.
Yes. Yeah, no, that's a really good point. So hydration, as we know, we've talked about this.
And we've talked about it before.
Is really key for all sorts of reasons, but staying hydrated as we get older is, you need to keep an eye on the levels of water that you are intaking, because our thirst actually diminishes as we get older. So the messages are not being sent to say, you're thirsty, you're dehydrated. And this can cause a problem for the kidneys, because the kidneys obviously are filtering all the water. And the kidney function also can decline over time. It sounds really depressing, doesn't it? But that makes it harder for the body to conserve water. So my recommendation is to measure out your 2 liters a day, which is what you're going to aim for, and drink it in whichever way you want to. So, just plain water, or lemon and ginger in water, or add some mint, or add some cucumber, whatever flavors it well for you.
We talked about this in our first podcast.
Yes, in the winter time, but really important. So absolutely right, and that keeps everything moving through,
flowing nicely. Yes,
very nicely, exactly.
And you had number 3 for the fiber, I think.
Fiber, it regulates our blood sugar, which is so important as well. So if you've got fiber in the gut, it actually creates a mesh that slows down the absorption of sugar into the bloodstream. So let's say you're eating a plate with some vegetables and you've got your protein, and let's say you've got your chips. So the chips will just turn into glucose in the body, and that can cause a sugar spike, which causes damage and accelerated aging. So whatever we can do to slow the absorption of that glucose down into the body is really key, and fiber will do that for you. So we always say, you know, always try and include a really good portion of fibrous vegetables or pulses or whatever it might be on your plate to reduce the blood sugar spikes as well.
Fibrous vegetables, are we thinking things like some of the leafy greens, the kale, the spinach, rocket, maybe?
You know what? All
broccoli?
vegetables, vegetables are fiber, have fiber in them. I mean, that's their structure of them. That's how they grow. But there are some that are really high in fiber, and you're absolutely right. So like your kales, your cabbages, your Brussels sprouts, rocket, all of these will contain a lot of fiber, and also provide that lovely mesh in the gut to slow down the absorption of glucose. So they are definitely our friend.
Lovely. Good. So those are our 3 points about fiber. I'm conscious of time, Jo. So we've talked protein, we've talked fiber. Any other kind of go-tos that people should be focusing on or including in their diet?
Yes, I think, you know, we need to think about what we call the micronutrients as well. So the protein and the fiber are macronutrients, and we also need our micronutrients. So we need to be looking at things like calcium for our bone health, and vitamin D, and they become more important for maintaining our bone health and to prevent this osteoporosis, which a lot of people suffer from. So what's really interesting about these, the vitamin D and the calcium, vitamin D for bone health and also for immune support, the calcium obviously for strengthening bones and teeth, but I just want to make the case for calcium in vegetables rather than always defaulting to dairy, because dairy can be quite pro-inflammatory in the body, especially if we have too much. So if you suffer from something like arthritis, it is worth thinking about reducing your dairy intake, because that can cause the arthritis to flare up. But you can get a lot of calcium from leafy green vegetables. And of course, I always talk about food being our forgotten medicine. Food is a medicine. And if we eat in the right way, and the combinations of foods that we have can really help the body to absorb these things even better. So for example, you can absorb more calcium into the body by eating vitamin D.
And vitamin D comes in mushrooms?
Mushrooms are a really good source. Egg yolks, of course, nothing to do with food, but getting out into sunlight as much as possible will synthesize vitamin D in your body. Oily fish, things like that. Just
that's really good.
And then eating your vitamin D will help you to absorb the calcium, and also things like magnesium and vitamin K. So looking at foods like almonds, tofu, sardines, and fortified plant milk. So quite often when you buy plant milk, they might add in some of these vitamins. Vitamin K you can find in your leafy greens, things like natto and broccoli, Brussels sprouts, things like that.
All those things. Those things. They keep coming up, don't they?
There's this synergy that goes on between foods. So, you know, by putting extra virgin olive oil, for example, on foods, or eating avocado helps us to absorb vitamins A, D, E, and K. So this is why it's it's so important to eat a diverse range of foods,
Of course.
and
Yes, that makes so much
really
sense.
mix and match in your meals, because the foods are all working together
Yes.
to help you be
Love
optimally well. Yeah.
Yes, really love that, Jo. That's
So I've got a
brilliant.
lovely recipe that we'll again put in
Oh,
the
yes.
notes at the end, which
Brilliant.
is a great example of this. So we could
Yeah.
think about a nice base of fresh kale, which is rich in magnesium and calcium, popping a fillet of grilled salmon, which is packed with vitamin D and provides your healthy fats, and it's your protein in the
Yes.
meal, and then toss in some almonds or sesame seeds for an extra boost of vitamin C, and sorry, an extra boost of magnesium and calcium, and then
Yes.
you can squeeze the whole a lemon over the top, which is your vitamin C, which helps you absorb the iron from the
Yes. From
kale.
the green.
So
Yeah.
it's just great. All works together,
It's
and then
brilliant. I
becomes
love
a
that.
super healthy meal.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. I love that. Can I just ask a quick question? You kind of referred to it a bit earlier. Just thinking of ways to get more vegetables into us. You know, some people, you know, we can't always get to a greengrocer's or to buy fresh fruit and veg every single day.
Yeah.
How do you feel about frozen fruit and veg? How does it,
Yeah.
is it as good for us?
Yes, absolutely. So frozen veg are a really good option to have in your freezer all the time, because it's readily available. And don't forget that vegetables and fruits are picked and frozen very, very quickly after they're picked. So quite often they can be even more nutritional than
Right.
the fresh counterparts that may have
Yes.
been in storage for quite a long
And are
time.
deteriorating.
Yeah, so don't worry about buying frozen foods. They are very healthy. And
Yeah.
even canned foods, canned vegetables,
Okay.
again, the pulses and things in the cans, they are optimally soaked and cooked.
Yes.
So sometimes at home, if you're soaking beans and cooking them, that can take quite a long time. It's quite a lot of effort to do that.
Yes.
But you know that if you bought them in the cans, they're at their optimal and then canned at the point when they're ready to eat. And it's quick and easy, and we all want something a little bit quick and easy, don't we? And just pop them in.
Just going to say that it's what we need are foods that we can grab easily when we need to make a quick meal, when we need to throw a quick meal together. If you know you've got, you know, we keep 2 or 3 cans of beans in the cupboard, and there's always tin mackerel and things like that. So actually, you could throw together a quick meal without thinking too hard about it.
Yes. The other little tip there is, if you have the carcass of your Sunday roast, for example, a chicken or something, to make bone broth from that chicken carcass, when you just literally simmer the carcass in water with some onions and some celery and carrot and some herbs, and then use that bone broth as a base for any soups or stews, you really hike protein up from the bone broth. And in addition, the bone broth is extremely healing to the gut. So again, that's a really wonderful food which you can keep in the freezer and use when you're making soups and stews. Or if you're a little bit poorly, just get the bone broth out. You can add a tiny bit of salt if it makes it more palatable, and sip on that during the day. And that is it's a healthy, delicious drink that will keep the protein levels up, and also, you know, help your immune system to get over whatever it is
we always have chicken soup when we were poorly, you know.
We did
I actually can't eat chicken soup anymore unless I'm poorly, because it makes me feel poorly.
Oh, there's an association there, isn't there?
There is an association.
Well, you might be able to do bone broth. Have a go with bone broth.
I will. Yes. Well, I do cook up the carcass, but I don't drink it just on its own. So I'll give it a go. Thank you, Jo.
Yeah.
That's brilliant. That's really good. Well, I think we have covered so much today. I think we'll wrap up now, just because we don't want to overload people. But to kind of, in summary, ideally, we want to get more protein than we think. 30 grams a day. No, 30 grams a meal.
30 grams a meal.
30 grams a meal 3 times a day.
Yeah.
Increase our fiber, ideally to 30 grams a day. That's where I got that one from. Lots and lots of water. And basically eat loads of fruit and veg, nuts and seeds, beans, pulses, legume. Have I forgotten anything there?
No, absolutely spot on. Exactly that. Diversity is key. Lots of fruits and vegetables, and make the protein the centerpiece of each meal.
Love that.
Perfect.
That's a really good tip to end on. We will put below in the show notes, we'll put the recipe that Jo has kindly shared with us, and we'll put the link to those apps as well that you mentioned at the beginning. We'll do that. We'll also put in the show notes ways to contact both Jo and myself. And then if you've got any questions, you can get in touch with us there. Do look out for episode 1 where we talked about hydration in great depth. So yeah, look out for that. That was a great fun podcast as well. And hopefully we look forward to seeing you again with another really fascinating conversation. Jo, thank you so much for being with me today. I've loved this. It's been so interesting.
Yeah, and it's been a pleasure. Always love chatting to you, and I hope that the the information is useful for everybody who's listening. So
definitely is. Thank you so much, Jo. Take care.
Bye.